Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to talk about gaming so much. Maybe talking about gaming, sort of. But anyhow, well, let's dive right into this. I made a video not so long ago, and it was called something like, you ain't all that exceptional, and your character doesn't have to be either. And in the video, I kind of, mentioned that, same old G had sort of like, ribbed me a little bit about being too polite. So in the video, I was like tongue in cheek, a little bit abrasive. Not really, but just a teeny bit, kind of pushing some buttons. Anyhow, in the video comment section, Robert the Narraider actually made a comment that he enjoyed the fact that I didn't troll in my videos. And, it said that, if I was short on topics, which I'm not, but if I was ever short on topics, I should make a video about why I don't troll, on my video podcast or whatever you want to call this. And okay, you know, I'll do that. And anyhow, by the way, Robert the Narrator's channel, great stuff. I've been going through his videos slowly, but it can be dangerous. I watched one today, and he talks about his 10th favorite RPG of all time. I think it's something called Eclipse Phase, and dangerous because now I want that game, or like I want to check it out. And see, very dangerous to watch these videos on YouTube sometimes. Anyhow, so why do I try to be polite and all that sort of stuff? Well, I'm not going to give you the whole story, but I'm going to give you the parts I'm going to give you. If you go back and look at my channel originally, when I first started making videos, it's funny. I was talking to Tim Harper or somebody else. I kind of like cringe when I watch some of those for a variety of reasons. But a lot of it is because I'm not always the nicest guy. You can see I can be a little condescending at times, and that certainly shows through. And when I came back into gaming, and this is not just about gaming, but when I came back into gaming in 2010, we'll call it a dark phase in my life. I'll leave it at that. But I hopped on forums, and if people didn't agree with what I thought, I was kind of abrasive. And sometimes I said those things that were just downright not nice. And I probably could go find those posts if I really wanted to, and I really don't want to. But that's how I conducted myself. Not all the time. I'm not a terrible person, but I conducted myself in that manner more often than I care to admit. And I was rather closed-minded, and that's a big thing too, or a big thing to consider. And in a lot of not just the videos I made early on in my career, I could be a bit dogmatic and closed-minded. I say, I still agree with some of the stuff I said, a lot of the stuff I said, but it was a tone more than anything else that I'm not really comfortable with now. And if people noticed that in like 2012, July 2012, I stopped making videos and just kind of vanished for a few years, I guess. Anyhow, without going into details, I made a very radical change in my life during that time. And as I made that one radical change, I started looking at some other things, and part of what I ended up looking at was, I have these assets, and I have these shortcomings, in my character, for lack of a better word, and some don't work for me, and some work for me. And what did I want to keep, and what did I want to work on, eliminating, or at least attenuating. And part of that was being abrasive, being closed-minded, being a bit of a jerk, a little condescending, and all that good stuff. And so it's become important to me to what contact with me produces has become important to me. And so I don't want to be abrasive. And also, what's also happened, I said also twice, almost three times. But what's happened is I've become more open-minded, I think, over time. I started to realize that other people's perspectives and opinions and experiences were worthwhile. And and I've become a much richer person for it. And one of those ways that I've definitely gained a lot is in gaming. Where I can now take a lot more of what people's experiences and perceptions and perspectives are, and kind of measure them against my own and find out, okay, well this actually works better than what I thought, or you know what I mean. I've become more willing to accept different input, and as such, while I have some very strong opinions, I absolutely do, but it's important to me to not beat people over the head with them, or come across as if like this is the only way to do things. And trust me, I think I've been mentioned. I'm not sure if I mentioned to Robert in the comment back or whatever. What goes on inside my head and what comes out of my mouth, often are two different things. So, a lot of times you don't want to hear the commentary in my head. And I have a very good friend who I consider, he's been very helpful to me. And one of the things he said to me, some years ago, was the easiest thing in the world to do is to talk spiritually. The second easiest thing in the world to do is to act spiritually, but the hardest thing in the world to do is to think spiritually. And I found that to be true. So, yeah, I mean, I get what Samuel G was saying too. Sometimes, I pull my punches a little bit too much, and maybe should be a little less PC and kind of come down with what my opinion is, and a little less wishy-washy, whatever the heck it is. But there's too much mean, like as Robert said, too much mean on the interwebs, and I don't need to be like that. So that's why I try to be that way. That's why I try not to troll too much. And it's funny, I should have put this early in the video, but Null Inquisitor, has called me out on the fact that I like a shock title, and it's true. And I think it's just because sometimes I think to myself, well, what would be the most interesting thing in the world to call this? And somebody I think accused me one time of clickbait, and I hadn't heard the term, but I guess, well, yes, it's an interesting sounding title. Okay, yeah, because what am I going to name a video? Should I name it role-playing games are kind of fun, or something a little bit more interesting that I might I guess maybe it is clickbait. Oh well, guilty as charged, but so I guess I'm not 100% innocent, but. So that's it. That's nowadays it's important for me that on a continual basis I kind of take inventory and see where I'm at, and what do I want to change, and what's working for me, what's not working for me. Use a bit of a barometer, right? I guess, or some what's the word I'm looking for? Some negative feedback. The old guided missile principle. And sometimes I feel myself getting off the mark, and I'm like, okay, well I don't want to be that close-minded or that abrasive or whatever it is. So. Yeah, that's why I don't troll, or try not to troll. I will fall short every once in a while. And so that's all I got.